Hello and welcome. My name is Bronson and today I'm going to share with you how to achieve the dark and moody and cinematic editing feel using Lightroom. We're going to do two different examples. One is where the image is underexposed by about a half stop or a full stop, which is what I would recommend almost always, but especially if you're trying to do the dark and moody editing style. And the other one would be when it's overexposed maybe a little bit, or when the sky is all washed out. So let's jump right into it, and we're going to start with this picture of Norman here. Again, Instagram at sadboynorman. Check him out, best wiener dog. Okay, so basically the style is pretty straightforward. I'm excited because this is my normal go-to style. This is what I do on most images, except if a client maybe wants kind of the more light and airy feel. This is my go-to styling. So what we're gonna do, since we underexpose, we're gonna bring back some of the lights, maybe by like 1 or 2 stops. Crank the contrast, maybe 10 to 20. Please don't overdo that. If you overdo it, it will look just awful. Same with texture and clarity and DH, just don't ever do those. And then we're going to drop the highlights. And I do this so you can bring in more details and more textures of, say, the leaves. If you were to crank the highlights, maybe not in this example so much, but except when you see how it changes the skies, you'll just destroy any detail of the clouds that you have there. So now we're going to drop the shadows. The thing about this style is it's about dark shadows, and really bright lights and bright whites. So dropping the shadows, and you'll also see in the other example where you'll want to increase the shadows a little bit. But anyways, dropping the shadows, boosting the whites, and then dropping the blacks. That's pretty much the main sequence of what to do. And then I will also increase texture a little bit, increase clarity, increase dehaze. So now another part of the style is to desaturate things. Vibrance, you can do it there, you can do it in saturation. Vibrance desaturates all the colors except skin tones, so oranges and yellows. I'm just gonna do it manually. So I'm gonna come in here and start desaturating a lot of these. Especially the purples and magentas. There we go, it's looking pretty good. Something that I like to do is to kind of play with the color of the leaves a little bit, just because it gives it kind of a unique look. So I'm going to actually bring that up a little bit. So another part of the style is choosing what colors to bring attention to, or what areas, not necessarily colors, but what areas to draw attention to. So you make everything dark, and then what you want to draw focus to, you make light. So in this case, I'm going to boost the luminance of Norman, and as you can see, it's kind of brightening him up a little bit. And we're looking pretty good. So I want to come in here, play with these a little bit. Oh, that's too much. Maybe darken it a little bit more. Okay, sweet. It's looking pretty good. So here is before and here's after. Might just clean up a few things here, like this little spot there. Sweet, there we go. There's Norman with the dark and moody editing style. You can start to play with the tone curves if you want. For this one, I'm not going to do that. So this is good to go. And I guess I would also maybe use, just because I have this little light here is kind of distracting, something you could do, use the adjustment brush, paint over that a little bit so you can see where I'm applying that. It's just right there. And then just kind of darken that out just so it's a little less distracting, and then the focus is straight to Norman there. All right, our next example. This one is a building in Polish Hill of Pittsburgh, really cool church. And something you'll notice is the sky is washed out. It's just whites. You can't really, there's no details of the clouds. And to get the moody look, you know, clouds are pretty important. So what we're gonna do now is drop the exposure, maybe about a stop. It is a little green, but that's okay. I'll just, sweet. A little bit of contrast, 10 to 20. Highlights. Now watch this. See how much detail in the shot in the clouds? So if you crank it up, you just lose all of that. So I'm going to drop it down all the way. So this one's a little different because I want to actually, if I drop the exposure, I actually want to go more. I'm losing all of the interesting detail, which is the church here. So sometimes when you maybe overexpose a little bit, when I'm doing the dark and moody edit, I'll actually increase the shadows, because whenever I overexpose, I need to drop the exposure in Lightroom. And then when you do that, you lose all of the interesting detail. See that? And if I were to drop the shadows more, you just lose everything. So in this case, I'm actually going to increase the shadows to bring in some of that detail of the church, and it's looking pretty good. And then, you know, same as before, increase the whites, and then dropping the blacks. Okay, now the next bit of this, it's a little too dark. So what you're able to do, and what I normally do, is using radial filter or an adjustment brush, I'll actually come in here and start to paint over the areas that I want to draw attention to and to draw focus to. This is such a powerful tool, and it's such a fun way to get more creative with your edits. So I'm just gonna crank that up a little bit to kind of draw attention to certain bits of this church. There we go. Okay, and I'll also do a little bit over here. You can see the effect that it's having in real time, and it just makes it a little bit more dramatic because it's dark and this magnificent church is standing in the background, and we got those moody clouds. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. So, and then I'm going to just, I normally increase texture, clarity, dehaze just a little bit, and then dropping the saturation. And that's pretty much it. So that is it. I hope this video has been enjoyable to you. If it has, please share it. I'm new at YouTube. I don't make any money from this. I do it because it's fun. So if you share it with someone that you think it would help, that would be a huge benefit to me, and I would really appreciate that. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing if you enjoyed this. I'd really appreciate it. If not, I still hope you check back for future videos, and have an awesome day.